Hello, welcome everybody to my live with Jane Phillips. If you're interested in imposter syndrome and how to get over it, then you're in the right place. And for the regular viewers, you know that I've been interviewing people every other week, and I'm really pleased to say that we've got another person that I'm going to be chatting to later. This is my final live before Christmas. So after today, you won't hear so much of me, as it were, until the new year. But thank you everybody for being here. You might be listening on LinkedIn, on Facebook, or on YouTube. What you can do is, if you've got any comments, you can pop them in the comments box. I will be able to see them and will be able to answer them. So I am really delighted to introduce my first guest, Teresa Wort. I'm going to bring her into the studio. So hi Teresa, hello. I'm just going to tell people a little bit about you, and then it's going to be sort of over to you. Yeah, Teresa completed a foundation degree with MindfulnessUK to become a mindfulness and compassion teacher, and she's been teaching now for 4 years. She's currently running her mindfulness advent calendar, which explains some of the lovely tinsel that's behind her in the chair. And in her spare time, as if she's not busy enough, she's a volunteer presenter on her Mindfulness Monday show, which you can listen on Apple FM. You can listen online to that. And also she writes a column for the Word Gets Around magazine. So incredibly busy lady. I'm really pleased that she's made some time to come and chat to me today. So Teresa, welcome.
Thank you, Jane, and what a nice intro. And I'd always make time for you, you know that.
Yes, it has to be said that we've known each other for a few years, haven't we?
Absolutely, yeah, far too many now.
Oh, yeah. So would you like to tell people a little bit more about, about mindfulness and compassion, and why you teach it and how you teach it?
Wow. So, okay, mindfulness and compassion. I will try and keep it simple because people that know me know I can talk, and Jane definitely knows that. So I will look out for the signals to shut up, Teresa, and let Jane speak, and I'll try not to speak too much. But mindfulness and compassion is all about being here now and present. We spend an awful lot of our time in the past. And usually when you're in the past, then you're looking back with regrets and also you have those little scenario conversations in your head that, oh, I wish I'd said this, and if I'd said that, and maybe if I'd done this or if I'd done that. So we waste an awful lot of time in the past. And then when we get anxious, often it's because we're looking forward and we're worried about something in the future. So mindfulness teaches you to be here now and present. And also by doing that, then you're not in the past, you're not in the future, you're here and now. And it just opens up so much more to you because the mind isn't so busy. So you learn how to deal with thoughts because we spend an awful lot of our time thinking about other stuff. I mean, just to let you realize, there was an article, I think it came out last summer, that 49% of our time at work is spent elsewhere in our brain. With our thoughts.
That's incredible. I hope no employers actually read that figure. That's going to worry them, isn't it?
Well, with a bit of luck, they say they all need a mindfulness course. But yeah, you spend an awful lot of time. So you spend a lot of time.
You know what? I absolutely resonate with that. I absolutely do, because, it's so easy, particularly when, it's time to go to bed and you start dwelling on the day, don't you? You start reliving the conversations, particularly, either ones that have gone badly or ones that have gone really well. And then, of course, the other thing is, we're anticipating things, aren't we? Christmas at the moment, I bet people listening here, when they should be switching off, they're actually thinking about what they've got to do for Christmas and what they've got to get done today and so on. So yeah, I really resonate with what you say.
And also it's the brain, it's the way the brain works. So anything that it thinks you're going to be threatened or you're under threat, then that's what preoccupies your mind. And you've been out and you've had, like you say, you've had a wonderful day, but you'll just remember that one little snippet or comment that your kid brother said, or somebody else said, and you think, oh, did they mean that? Or, you know, and all of a sudden you're off. And then you have all these little fantasy conversations and how it all went. And actually, what happened is gone over that person's head. They've thought no more of it. You know, it was just that moment. And if they were there and present, then yeah, they've definitely passed on by. So
yeah,
no,
it's
really
incredible, isn't it? It's incredible how, you know, situations can affect us and can affect us for a long time, but you know, the person on the other end doesn't perceive that as a problem at all, do they? You know, so it's sort of what's said to us, and where we were, but also us, you know, how we're listening, how we're interpreting that. And I guess part of that must be down to the type of person we are, our personality type, you know, whether there's certain, maybe sensitive about particular things or things said in a particular way, you know. I mean, I'm thinking, I always feel like I'm being judged when people say to me, have you done something? You know, well, what are you going to do about that? If someone said to me, what do you think about that? It wouldn't bother me. But if they said, what are you going to do about that? I would sort of go, I've got to do something. What am I going to do? I don't know.
And also, if you go even deeper, which we won't do now, but if you look, and I mean, this is what happens when you see I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a mindfulness teacher. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychotherapist. But when you go deeper, it's often things that were said to you as a child. Yeah. So that may well make you go away and think, gosh, was that how I was spoken to? So is that why it comes up now and sort of bites you on the bottom all those years later? Yeah. And that's what's amazed me, the variety of people that I've taught. But the older and older the age group gets, I mean, I've taught people up to 86 is my eldest.
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah, down to, you know, in their 20s.
So mindfulness is not for young people, it's for everyone. That's brilliant. That's a really great message, isn't it?
Yeah, but they are bringing back things that were said or done that happened years and years ago, and they've just not learned to let it go. And so mindfulness teaches. So you said to me earlier, you know, how do I teach it? And it's, you obviously do meditation and you get homework to do, but generally it's over a 6-week period. It's an hour and a half that we sit and have time together in me teaching, and I'm teaching you different strategies, techniques, anything that can help you to be more here, now and present, and to understand. And I think when you understand how your mind works, then wow, that's so empowering, which is why I think mindfulness should be part of what they learn at school. All children. I mean, gosh, I think I look back now and I'd say to my younger self, wow, I wish I'd known and understood more. But we didn't.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great to see that there are some schools that do incorporate that into their curriculum, don't they? Which is fantastic to see. Yeah. So is there a particular sort of focus that you have? I mean, I know that you talk a lot about, you know, chronic pain management, chronic illnesses. Right. Do you deal with people who are in that situation?
I do, yeah. I have a lot of my clients, because if they've gone to my website, then when you look at my website, you get to know about me. And what brought me to mindfulness and compassion 9 years ago was pain. I've got psoriatic arthritis. I take a selection of drugs, and you know, and that keeps me in a good place. And people think, wow, you look good, you know, which is good. But wow, I know I do have, you know, psoriatic arthritis. And then on top of that, when she was chatting to me, she asked if there was anything else. And I'm idiopathic anaphylaxis. So that causes me a great deal of anxiety. That's where you have anaphylactic shocks, and unless you've got your EpiPen, you could be dead. So
you don't know why, do you? You don't know why they have them.
That's why it's idio. Yeah, I don't know why I have them. So to live with something like that. So all those years ago, when I was introduced to mindfulness, that made a huge difference. So I feel people do look at my website and think, wow. So I've helped people with Parkinson's, with arthritis, cancer, long COVID. I've got a lady with long COVID. You know, it's variety. But then in the same breath, I help people with anxiety, because I've had people say, wow, if you can manage being anxious about whether you're going to die tomorrow and will you have your EpiPen, then I ought to be able to get a grip of the things that are upsetting me. And it is amazing. And then often you find that people come on a course and what you discover a couple of weeks in was not what they thought they were coming for. So it is, it can open up stuff and bring stuff out. Hopefully my clients find it beneficial, and it's a little extra challenge for me, thinking, okay, but that's what's so good about the course that I've been trained in. It's bespoke. It's not set in concrete. You don't do X, Y, Z each week, and that's how it's done. I can adjust, and gosh, I've had to adjust many a time.
Yeah. So you don't just walk the walk. You don't just talk the talk. You walk the walk, don't you?
Oh gosh, yes, I do. Yeah. I've been up this morning. I've done my meditation, and I will do it again this afternoon, because where pain is concerned, it is so useful.
Yeah.
To give myself that time to sort my body out really is. It's like being wrapped up in a blanket. Is how I describe it. Cotton wool, and at the end I just feel so much better, and it's energizing. And so if you think, even if you haven't got pain and you're not even got anxiety or stress, if you were to learn mindfulness and were to meditate and you did 10 minutes at lunchtime, wow, you'd have a far more productive afternoon. Because it also helps with, sorry Jane, yeah.
No, I was just going to ask, does it take people a while to get into the hang of meditating? Do some people, take to it like a duck to water, and other people struggle with it?
Oh gosh, yeah. I get the whole mixture. I'll get those that come, because my challenge each week is to go away and do 5 out of 7. And I get those that come back, and I've done 7. I get those that come back, so I did 2. So it is. And eventually I remind them that they're paying to come and see me. And so it's really good if they did what I was teaching them. And then people suddenly get into it. And I think eventually it all takes time. But the most magical word not to be missed is mindfulness and compassion is a practice. And the practice is that you practice mindfulness and compassion daily. And that's not something horrendous that you've got to make time for. You start to realize it's part of your life. And that's what I'm challenging you to go away and start doing each day. So you become more and more mindful. And then you actually look forward to your meditation and wanting to do your meditation, and even catch yourself doing extras. But it is a practice. So therefore, if you stop, and I have had clients that have come back and say, oh, Teresa, and that's something else that I do extra. It's all part of my package. I contact you 3 or 4 months later, and I go, how are you getting on? And then we discover any little hiccups you're having. And many a time someone said, oh, I've gone down a slippery slope, and, I've not been doing. And we chat again, and they get back on track. And I suppose the greatest thing is when I see them, and I've got clients now that are years down the road, and I'm so chuffed, when I see them and they're still doing, and they're so grateful for doing it. But you have to practice. So like you'd go out and practice to run a half marathon, you've got to keep up that standard. Otherwise, you're back to a couch potato.
Yeah.
I'll be quiet.
So I'm just enjoying the lovely tinsel that you've got behind you on your chair.
Right.
So it's a great way to talk about your Advent calendar, because Christmas is a really tough time, isn't it, for people?
Yeah, it's an extremely tough time. And if you saw the calendar that went out yesterday, I told you to go and soak in the bath. So I was talking this week about your senses. You might have seen my Dundee cake that I made, and
I did, yes.
And
what it smelled like.
Yeah, you like germaline. I hate the smell of germaline. But wow, it caused a bit of conversation on Facebook. People who like that whiskey that was on show. I can't even tell you what it was called. I just say to the husband, is there a bottle of whiskey I can feed the Dundee cake with? And off I go. But so I've been doing that because, again, you get yourself wound up really thinking too much ahead. Whereas when you learn mindfulness and compassion, you're here and present. And the compassion bit, Jane, we haven't spoken of, that is so important. So having that bath at the end of the day, finding time to curl up with a book, ringing a girlfriend and having a moan. And if anything, with girlfriends, sorry, I'm sure boys do it as well, but you have that quick moment of moaning and then you're happy again. You've got it out, you've let it out, because it's really important that you don't hold all these things inside, which is why it's so important now that more men, and I have discovered that, I've also discovered though with men, Jane, is when a gentleman comes to me for a course, they want it like started yesterday. So they are much more, we seem
So to give them a bit of a talking to then, because that's not how it works.
Ladies seem to want to find the time and fit it in, whereas men go, right, let's, there's great differences in us, and it's fascinating to see. But it is, it's a wonderful topic in compassion for men to be told, it's okay to not feel okay, and it's okay to talk to yourself nicely. Yeah. And so that's really important, and people need to be doing that now with the run up to Christmas.
And I think it's a great thing actually that you're getting more more male clients, because if you turn the clock back sort of 10-15 years, there would have been far less of them feeling comfortable talking out that sort of thing.
Yeah, I would say mine's like 47% of men. And I've had couples, I've had men separately from the wife, and then I've had their children. A greatest compliment I had was a young man that I said to him, obviously asked questions, why are you doing this? He said, well, I've seen what you've done to my mother. He said, so I want a dose, and I just thought that was such a compliment and brilliant. I've never told his mum. Obviously, it's very confidential, as you can imagine, so it's between me and that person. But
Yeah, brilliant. And so you've been in business now for 4 years, haven't you? So what was it like starting up in business, and what sort of challenges did you face?
Challenging, I would say, was my health was a big challenge, because if you think, is it 15 years now? It was 2009 that I started mindfulness, and I'd had the arthritis diagnosed 3 years previously. And for anybody that's listening, often when you've been diagnosed with something like that is life-changing, that there's never going to be a cure, you're suddenly on all these drugs. So you really have to be kind to yourself, and that takes a long time to accept. Jane would have known me all those years ago. I still pushed on. I can still do my job. I'm not letting this beat me. And then you get 3-4 months down the road and you fall over, and then you pick yourself back up and off you go again. So when I started working for myself, I realized how important it was to practice what I preach with mindfulness, that I needed to be part-time. I very much say when I can teach, and I make sure I get that balance right. There has been, I will confess, we've all done it. Oh, well, let me book you in then. Oh yeah, let me book you in then. I usually end up with the 2 weeks off at Christmas, but I was very good back in the summer. I'd had a bit of a challenge, something personal back in May in the family, and I thought, you know what, I need some time out. I really need to bring myself back to me. And so I took that decision, and I had July and August off. Because I needed that. And that's the difference. Okay, then you've got the money, and I am fortunate enough that I don't need to earn masses of money, and I can be part-time. But even if I could speak to myself again, I would certainly say you need to be kinder. You so need to be kind to yourself. You need to not try and burn the candle at both ends. You can't. You've got to give yourself that sleep. You've got to have that sensible diet. You've got to have that exercise. You've got to have that me time. Because if you go back, I've previously worked for myself before. I did then for 15 years. I was younger, but I was a workaholic. I look back now and I think, oh, you silly girl. It's nothing to work 7 days a week. You're on that adrenaline. But I think that's the other important thing, is to have your passion, your why, your reason that you get up every day. And I've always been really strong about that. You've got to enjoy what you do. And so when you've got a purpose, you know why you're wanting to do something, then that drives you, and your enthusiasm comes through then. You know, you're totally enthusiastic about what you're doing. And I suppose I've been lucky that I've been able to do that throughout my life. I've never worked somewhere that I haven't enjoyed. If I've been there and I haven't enjoyed, then I've left.
Yeah. I think you're quite right, particularly when people start up in business, and it can be all, you know, of all ages. You know, people start business later in life as well as being younger. But there is that pressure, isn't there, to really put the hours in, you know, and put in the extra hours, working at the weekend, you know, working in the evening, and just not taking that time back, just not stepping back to look after ourselves. And you know, that's where burnout comes in ultimately, isn't it? You know, and it's an investment. I think it's an investment in yourself, and actually it's an investment in people's business as well, because you know, if you're running your own business and you're ill, you don't have a business, you know. So I think, you know, finding that time to you know, to spend on themselves is really, really important. I mean, yeah, I love a bath, I love a soak, you know, bubbles and the sort of fizz balls that you use and so on. And just sort of, you know, closing the door and yeah.
And as you know, the other thing I love doing is baking a cake, you know. I'm hoping when I finish this, I've been promising him. So I am going to make him some Eccles cakes.
Okay.
So that should hopefully keep him happy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is your Christmas baking done? Have you done that?
No, I like to. I'm very sort of traditional that Christmas Eve I will make my mince pies and sausage rolls, and I've usually got Kings. Is it Kings or it's Kings with the carols on BBC Two, Radio 2.
Yeah.
BBC 2. I usually have very sort of traditional in that respect. So.
And I bet you enjoy every moment of that.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Yes.
Totally enjoy.
Yeah, the music and the and making the you know, the pastry and the filling and enjoying.
Yeah, because I make my own. You know, I do a quick flaky pastry. It's not bought in. It's a quick flaky pastry, and the secret to my sausage rolls is I put a layer of mustard. You know, you put the sausage meat down. There's a layer of mustard.
Ah, wonderful. Good tip for people.
Anyway, we haven't talked about whatever else you wanted to talk about, Jane. I'm conscious that I'm chatting.
No, we're fine. We're fine. Well, as you know, and all the listeners know, we always touch on imposter syndrome as well.
Yeah.
So people come along here to really sort of get some imposter syndrome tips, but also, you know, hear a bit about other people's lives. So, you know, imposter syndrome for you, Teresa. You know, is it something you think that you've experienced in the past? And if so, how and what have you done about it?
Yeah, okay. So my take on imposter syndrome, I say I don't like the word, but anyway.
I know, it's a horrible word, isn't it? Horrible. We're not imposters.
Yes, of course I have. And I think we all do. And I still do. I think the difference is I now understand what it is. So if I go back and I can think back, and it's interesting, I've even gone that deep to discover where it kicked in. And like I was saying earlier, you can go back and it's often childhood.
Yeah.
So we won't go there and dampen the session. But, you know, so I can look back and see where my imposter syndrome will have been fed in and where it came from. And then I can think of many occasions that, wow, you know, but I then managed. But I now understand and manage it far better, because really imposter syndrome is just another thought.
Yes.
It's just purely a thought. But I still get it, you know, and I can tell you I had it the other week. Just to make you smile and laugh, it was BBC Somerset Sound had rung me and asked if I'd go on the show. And I said, yeah. And they said, well, it's 24 hours time, which it was 24 hours time. I said, yeah, fine, okay. Naive, you know, okay, we want to talk about mindfulness and compassion. You've got 10 minutes. And when I got in, there wasn't a chat with him beforehand like I do when I do my show. There was no sort of like a cuddle and a warm up down the Zoom. It was like, okay, you'll be going on in a minute. Oh, you're okay. And I felt like the rabbit in the headlights. And I thought, come on, Teresa, you've done this before. Bring in your mindfulness. Let's get your feet grounded on the floor. Let's be here and present. Let's have confidence that you do know your subject. You do know what you're talking about. And whenever I talk, I like to think it comes from here. It comes from the heart. And so I did, and I coped. But my judgmental mind decided afterwards, oh, God, that was awful. And I think it was only because I'd just been thrown in the deep end. And I thought, that was terrible. Oh, I'm not sharing that on LinkedIn, and I'm not sharing that on Facebook. And no, I won't get that put on my website. Anyway, it was like 3 weeks later, and I was speaking to a friend. I don't even remember if it might have even been you or somebody else. I think it was a couple of people. And they said, Teresa, I'm sure you're fine. So I plucked up courage and went back and had a listen. And I thought, oh my gosh, yeah, that's okay. what are you playing at? So I decided it was far too late to put it on LinkedIn or Facebook, but I did contact Paul Smith, the wonderful Paul Smith, word gets around. He looks after my website. And I said, oh, Paul, will you pop this on my website, please? So I have manned up. But those are the occasions when you suddenly think, oh, I'm not good enough, or they could have asked somebody else, etc. But that happens. So when you understand mindfulness, and that's just a thought, it's not a fact. Yeah. So the best way to cope with it, which is how I did in the past without realizing, in the past, I really had to give myself a good talking to about my successes, what you have done. And I can remember doing that. And I'd say, yes, you did this and you did that and you did this. And that was brilliant. And what I do now, after every client, I always ask for some feedback. And then I've just got it, no name attached to it. I've got it on a little flow. So if I'm having a funny 5 minutes, because I am human after all, my husband's really
absolutely.
Totally human. I will get that page up and I will read them. Yeah. And then it makes me feel good. And I go, yeah, you're okay, girl, get on with it.
Which is a brilliant tip. I mean, I call it my awards cabinet.
Oh, brilliant!
Because if I was a big corporate, in reception, I'd have this awards cabinet, wouldn't I? With to sort of show off.
Yeah.
Because although they're not awards, they're compliments, aren't they? Yeah. It's people saying, you do a good job, and it's so easy to forget the things that we do well, isn't it? So it's a really good thing and a powerful thing to remind us of our successes.
Yeah, and I'll still write them down even when I meet somebody and they've said, and I think the biggest compliment is when I get it from their own family, from a loved one. I had a lady that I taught with young children, and her husband said, she's no more. She used to be like a headless chicken when we went shopping. She used to be flying around grabbing things off the shelf. He said, now she goes down and she's like a swan. And I just thought that was brilliant. He said, there's none of this panicking anymore. She just goes, puts it in the basket. And I thought, wow. And that's what makes a difference. Oh, I could tell so many stories. And that's what you must never lose sight of. You've got to keep those at the front of your mind. Yeah. And then that stops the imposter. And then have the confidence that and keep learning. I mean, I love it. I belong to a book club, and I think they think, oh, God, Teresa. I occasionally try and read another book. But, wow, if you said to me, oh, I've got this book on compassion, or I've got this book on the brain, I go, yeah, read that. And off I go. And that's what I prefer. I've got some coming for Christmas, which I'm really pleased about.
Oh, no, that's brilliant. And really good tips for people as well. And you're quite right. Imposter syndrome, it is just a thought, and it goes. It's not a fact. It's not a real thing. It's just our brain playing tricks on us, really, isn't it?
And it's all part of it's trying to protect you. It's all part to do with the amygdala.
Yeah.
And the amygdala. I mean, I talk to my amygdala, but that's probably for another day, Jane. But
well, I talk to mine as well.
I say thank you. Okay, thank you, amygdala, but I'm okay. And there's a guy, I can't remember what his name is. It's some professor or whoever, and he said, if you can name it, you can tame it, and it's so true.
So I call mine Amy because it's short for amygdala.
Oh, right, yeah. Oh, I give mine the full name.
It's proper name.
You're compressing my hippocampus and my prefrontal cortex, which is obviously to do with decision making.
So I'm aware of time, Teresa.
All right, so I'll shut up.
I'm sure people will want to get in touch with you after hearing, what you do and how you've helped people and just how you can change their lives. How can they get in touch with you if they want to try some mindfulness and compassion with you?
All right, so I've grabbed so you can go to my website, which is www.Teresa without a H, Wort, WORT.co.uk. I'm on LinkedIn, so you can, contact me through LinkedIn. Facebook, I'm a reluctant Facebook person, but I am there as Teresa Wort, mindfulness and compassion teacher. So make my day and contact me through there and hope I reply correctly. I do put my post out there for my advent calendar every day. And then obviously you're more than welcome to ring me or email me. So I'm putting my glasses on now, Jane. I was thinking you may have come up with all this. So you can call me on 077 68 44 7826. That's 077 68 44 7826. Or you can email me info@teresawart.co.uk.
Okay, so plenty of ways that people can get in touch with you there. That's brilliant.
Ask Jane, she'll tell you where I am.
And do watch Teresa's Advent calendar. It's absolutely brilliant. It will make you smile. It's a lovely thing. So Teresa, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been really great.
Thanks for the opportunity and happy Christmas.
Yes, thank you. And happy Christmas to you. And also to all our listeners and watchers now. Happy Christmas, and we will see you again in the new year.
Bye.
Bye.